This is Melissa with ABC Behavior Training, and I am so excited today to bring you my very first digital planner. If you're familiar with my company, you've seen my products, you probably know that a couple of years ago I did create a physical planner because honestly, I love planners and I enjoyed the paper planners and actually like writing stuff down, crossing it off, the physicality of being able to do that to track all of my stuff. And I was so tired of trying to make regular planners out there work for the things that I needed to track as a BCBA. I was constantly adding stuff or adjusting stuff on it because I didn't have an actual template of what I needed. So that inspired me to create a specific BCBA planner. To my knowledge, it's the only physical one out there. There are some other physical planners for BCBAs, but they just have a cute BCBA saying on the cover of it. It doesn't actually have the content that we need. So I've been using that for a couple of years, and recently, just with juggling life and juggling between telehealth and in-person sessions, and sometimes having my backpack with me and sometimes not, I have started a liking for digital planners. Now, when I came out with my first planner, one of the first requests I got was for a digital planner, but I didn't use them very often. I didn't really know exactly how I wanted to translate that planner into a digital planner. But now for 2025, I have finally jumped on the digital planner bandwagon, and this is the result that I'm going to walk you through today. But don't worry, if you like physical planners still, because I still do, I still love them, this planner is also going to be released as a physical planner as well. I'm just testing out some formats, but you will be seeing this being released in early 2025 for a physical planner that you can also order if you prefer that to digital. So let's take a look. This planner is a dated planner because honestly, who wants to write in the dates for everything every single day, every single month? That gets annoying. We don't have time for that. So this planner is dated, and it also is going to come. First thing we're going to look at is the covers. So I have uh, four different covers on here, plus a blank one that you can create your own cover. They're going to stay with the same theme throughout the year. So this is a 3-month planner. So we're right now looking at January through March. There's a bonus in here for December, but I'm going to just skip through that because it doesn't have the quarterly goals section. But if you get the January through March planner, and you really like this first cover here, well, then the next quarter, when you get that planner, it's going to be similar themed. So, like just different coloring. So you can kind of stay with the theme you want or change it, or you can use this blank one and just create your own planner cover, however you want. But one of the first things I would say to do is go in there and just delete the ones that you don't want because we don't need all of those on there. So I'm going to just go and delete these, and we're just going to keep the first one here. And now you have just one beautiful cover for your planner when you go in there. And just as a side note, I'm using Samsung Notes to view this. I have a Samsung Galaxy phone, Note with a pen. So that's what or a stylus, whatever. That's what I'm doing this with. But of course, this is going to work with any phone. It'll work with iPhone if you're using Pages. I know GoodNotes is another popular one. Samsung Note is free. It's what I've always used. I've not had any issues with it. So here you can see this is a really big planner. As I'm scrolling through, it takes a second for the notes to load. But basically, what we're looking at here is we have a brief how-to for how to use this planner. Self-care ideas, because one big thing I wanted to utilize with this planner is the idea of managing not just our work and our tasks, but ourselves, and making sure that we are looking at our burnout, where we're at, what boundaries we can establish, and making sure we are making ourselves a priority because that's really, really important for us as well. And then for each one, I'm going to quickly go through December, but then where I'm actually looking at it, We're going to be looking at the January through March. But here we have December. There is quick links because you can click on those and it will take you right where you need to be. You can click on the tabs to go back to the quick links page for December, January, all of those. So all of those tabs are clickable, and all of these quick links here are clickable as well. So you'll be able to see the monthly calendar, the brain dump section, which we'll look at that, the weeks for the month, client sheets, tech evals, client summaries, and tech summaries. There's a note section here for you to write whatever you want. And then there's a habit graph that you can utilize. So as we go over this, you're going to write out some quarterly goals, and there should be some habits or behaviors that should be tied to this. So for this, you can really make, let me just get my pen up here. So you can make this however you want. Let me get like a color. So I didn't include like the lines on the side because maybe you're doing yes, no, maybe you're doing percentages, but maybe over here we could have a little legend where this color is going to be drinking water. Um, and then when you are tracking it, then maybe here. And we're looking at like, did you drink, yes or no, the amount of water that you were supposed to drink for that day, and you're averaging it for the week. And then we could go through and we could actually draw a line for that or plot a point, however you want to. And then you could actually graph whatever different behaviors you have. So maybe you also are going to be tracking, are you turning your session notes in on time, or whatever your billable stuff is. And then you can plot points for those as well. So hopefully here at 100 for that, but maybe not. Make that a little bit bigger. And then you can track it through the weeks, wherever you're at, and then connect the lines and actually track your behavior because, a lot of things have ways to track your behavior. Are you doing this? Yes or no? But as behavior analysts, it's all visual. We want to see graphs of stuff. So why are we not graphing our own behavior? So you can utilize this for the habits that you can track daily, or also really whatever you want. I mean, anything that you want to use for that space, you can. And now I'm going to go ahead and hop over to January so we can actually start looking at all of the different little features that are in there. Same page here. Of course, have to have a coloring sheet. My favorite things of planners is when they have coloring things in there that you can go and, just have some downtime to do. I will say, again, I'm using Samsung Notes. I don't know how this is for other ones, but you want to use the highlighter feature because it's going to put the colors behind the black space. So you're coloring in little stuff here if you want to use it. Obviously, it's hard to do with a pen to be within the lines. So when you use highlighter, it's going to pop it behind the black lines so it doesn't look awful. But I think that's just like a fun little addition that, again, our focus should be on self-care, preventing burnout. And even though it may seem silly to put some time aside to color, it is really helpful to just take your mind offline. Just focus on something that is not the 500 tasks you have to do, and take a break. So I wanted to provide something for that. Now, at the beginning of every single planner, you're only going to see this in the first month of the planner, there are quarterly goals. There's 5 pages in here for it. You can go to the page sorter and delete or add some, but I do not recommend you do more than 5. I am the person that will write 20 goals for myself, and then, of course, that's way too much to juggle, too much to ask for. And then you're going to end up not doing them or feeling like you're failing because you have too many goals you're trying to juggle. So I would keep it a minimum of five or maximum of five, not any more than that. You can definitely do less if you'd like. So for your quarterly goals, you're going to write your long-term objective. So just what is it that you want? What are you trying to do? Maybe your long-term objective is maybe you want to go back to school and get your PhD. Um, what is going to be the SMART goal for that? So you probably are familiar with SMART goals. We typically will write goals as SMART goals for our clients, even though we're not using that acronym, but it needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So what is the specific action for this 3 months that you are going to do that's going to help lead to your long-term objective? Then you're going to write down what are some actionable steps. So, what specifically do you need to do? Break it down, break that SMART goal down into smaller steps. What do you need to do to accomplish this goal? And then, what are some proactive habits that are tied with this? So, maybe you need to write an essay. That's one of your things. So, a proactive habit could be making sure that you are spending 30 minutes a day on your essay, that you actually are blocking that time off in your calendar. Maybe you have a goal that's like a health or a fitness goal that you want to be healthier. Well, that's very subjective. That's not a SMART goal. We'd want to turn that into a SMART goal of what specifically it is you want to do. And one of the proactive habits could be making sure you're drinking 8 glasses of water a day, or making sure that you're meal prepping once a week. Like, what is the habit that is going to be tied to that goal? Because otherwise, like, how is it going to happen if we are not having some of those proactive steps? So you have five of these. Your long-term objective could be the same for all of them or multiple ones. If you have a big long-term goal, maybe you have several SMART goals tied to it, all with their own actions and habits that you want to do. So make sure that you take some time to plan this because having goals and knowing where you're going in life is so important to make sure that you're staying on the path that you want to be staying on to get to where you want to go. And then after your quarterly goals, which again, that is only in the very first month, and then you're going to review them for next month in your next planner. Um, you're going to have, of course, just a monthly calendar. It's all dated for you. You can zoom in really easily to write in whatever it is that you want to write on the dates. Some goals and tasks that are going to be kind of your focus for that month. What is your main focus? Like, what do you really want to focus your efforts on? Maybe it's becoming more organized. Maybe it is, health or fitness goals. Maybe it is social or relationship goals, like whatever you want to focus on. Just a very general idea. It doesn't have to be specific, but what should your mind constantly be thinking of and getting you back on track for this month? And then you have a notes section. And for the goals and tasks, I'd use that for kind of like important dates. Maybe you have like one of your clients has a reevaluation coming up, or you have something to plan. Because on this next page here on our brain dump, that's where you're really going to write all the things you have to do. So if you've taken my 5-day workshop on successful time management, brain dump, that is one of the things that we've talked about, which is really one of the first things you need to do to conquer your to-do list. All of the things, and I mean all the things that are in your brain that you know you have to get done, whether it is now, 6 months from now, whenever it is, you need to get them out of your head and write them down. So that is where the brain dump comes in. Now, this is a list of 20, but remember, you can always go to the page sorter, and if you need more, you can just copy and paste it. And now you have two of them, or however many it is that you think that you need to get them out of there. Because just because you're writing them down, you don't have to get them done this month. We are going to, once you write everything down, you're going to prioritize them, whether it is high priority, we're going to bubble that in, versus medium, low priority. So you can get a visual of what it is you should be working on. And then this great little circle here you're going to see on your daily planner sheet too, and that's your status. So as you are completing your work, make that a little bit bigger. Um, you know, 1/4 of it is going to be like, you're starting it, you got like a quarter of the project done. Then as you continue working on it, you got half of the project done, even more. And then eventually, when the project is completed, the full circle is going to be colored in. So you have a visual representation of where you're at um, with this project as well. That's also going to help you see, are you working on like way too many things at one time? If you have a bunch of unfinished projects, not completely filled in, then that's definitely something to look at and try to reprioritize. And then you're dumping everything out of your brain all at one time. It doesn't mean you need to work on it all right now. So some of those tasks that you're not going to be working on for January, let's go ahead and turn it into an arrow because that is going to signal that you are going to be doing that next month. It is not something that you need to work on right now. So this is going to help you so much with organizing what your life is and what it is that you need to work on. And one thing that I really like about the digital planners here is, let me just color this one. Maybe this is a low priority. Give you a little sample here. Okay, so something that I need to work on, but I don't have to do it until next month. Maybe that is prepping for a new supervisee that I have coming on. So new supervisee, but they're not going to be starting for like a month and a half. So I don't really have to do anything with that yet because it's a low priority. So at least here on Samson Note, I can just circle all of this. And, maybe I want it over here, but I want to make sure that it's going to be on the next one. I can copy or cut it. And then we can, go over to February. Just click there, go to the brain dump. Okay, now I have this in its new spot. Oh, I didn't want to make it smaller. Okay, and I'll just select it again. And move it where it needs to go. So now I easily can just cut and move something to the next month, the next day. It's really easy to adjust things without having to like erase it and all of that. So that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about using a digital planner. Okay, let's go back over to January where we were working on the brain dump. So again, this should help you organize your life. I would make sure, before the first of the month is generally when I do this. Before January 1st, I'm going to do this brain dump. I'm going to plan out my month and figure it out what it is that my plan is going to be for this upcoming time period. And then we have weekly planner. So this goes from 6 a.m. Hopefully you're not doing too much that early, all the way to 9:30 p.m. And of course, it's just like a normal planner, however you want to use that. Just get my pen back up. Um, I really like to color code things. So let's say here I have, if we're doing client initials, these are not real ones, of course. Usually I do first two, um, last two. And then I could color code these. Maybe this one is supervision. Can make it bigger. And that's going to be for an hour and a half. And then maybe this dark blue is for parent training. However you want to do it. Your planner, you have the ability to make it however you'd like. So we have these verticals for all of the days, and then when we get over here to the side, you also have a spot for calculating your hours. So if you're paid hourly, that's really helpful. So you can see like what it is you should be getting paid for. But you can also track your productivity and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So maybe you did 10 hours, and if you want to track like how much you were supposed to have done, maybe you did 10 out of 20 hours because you had a bunch of people cancel because they were sick. And you can put in your hours for these other things. I know some BCBAs do direct work, so I put that in there. You can use that if you do direct work or not. Sometimes you have insurances that'll pay for like indirect work, so maybe you could put that in there, however you want to use it. So you can utilize that. There's a little note section, and then we have our habit tracker, which is that, daily tracker. So going back, maybe you have those goals that we talked about that you need to spend time writing. And that goal is going to be, you know, 30 minutes per day, maybe 4 times a week. And then maybe you have that other goal of drinking more water, and it needs to be 8 cups per day. And that should be every day. And then as you're going through the week, you can go through and you can mark when you're doing this. So maybe you did it on these days, you didn't do it then. So maybe that's what that looks like. For writing, you're looking at doing it for 4 days a week. So maybe you did it for 3 days and then you missed a day. And then if you want to go in and mark the ones that you missed, so since that was supposed to be 4 days, you clearly missed a day. So you could do one red one. It shows where you're at. And then this was supposed to be every day. So you can go in and highlight the ones that you missed. And again, you can use it however you'd like, but it gives you the idea of what is your behavior that you should be doing and what's your goal. So, like, how are we measuring this? And then tracking your success each week. And then you can use this. So, like the writing, you're at 75% for this week. So, if you are using that habit tracker, which also I could have just clicked on January to come up here. So if we're using that habit tracker and we have, this is, 150, 75, 25, then we know that for writing, you were at 75% for that first week. So that helps you track your progress um, as you're going through everything. All right, so let's move on to our daily planner because that's our weekly planner that we just went over. Now, daily planner, um, I find it really helpful for me. And again, I talk about this in that successful time management workshop, different ways to manage your priorities and get work done. Top three priorities is so helpful for me because I can just make lists and lists and lists of stuff. I'm really good at making the lists, but I can sometimes get lost or distracted in the things I have to do. So if I at least write my top three priorities that I have to get done, no matter what, if I at least get those things done, then that was a win. Then that is really helpful for me to organize what my life is. So maybe I have respond to emails and you can put personal stuff on here too. I've got to do laundry. And then I also have to, let's see, record a video, record a CEU. Okay, so those are my top three priorities that I know I need to get done that day. I should do that in the morning. I can write out my different tasks. Now, it can just be like respond to emails, laundry, and record CEU, but recording CEU, that has multiple steps that I have to put on here. So maybe I have where I actually have to record the CEU is the first part. And then I have to edit the video. And then I have to put it on my training software, which is Member Vault. So add it to Member Vault. And then if it's something that's brand new, I maybe have to post it to my website, so add to products. So that one very important thing actually has like 4 steps to it that I have to get done. So you can utilize that. And then, of course, you have those little circles again, where you can write where you're at in the tasks, can track your progress, and then maybe end of the day, like I got most of it done, but again, this one is going to get moved to tomorrow because I didn't get to finish it for whatever reason. Then you have a note section to use however you want. A self-care activity. Again, really important to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. What is one thing that you're going to commit to doing today for a self-care activity? It does not have to be anything crazy like go to the spa or anything. Like it could be taking a walk. It could be just sitting down for 5 minutes and listening to some relaxing music, meditating. Anything that gives you some joy. And that's where at the beginning of this planner too, there is a self-care activities ideas. But maybe we'll put 30-minute walk. I'm going to show you that self-care activity list right here. Self-care ideas. Um, So for self-care, there's several different like realms that you can look at. There's physical, mental, spiritual, which spiritual does not have to mean religious. I'm not religious at all. It's just what are things that are going to connect you with other people, with nature that it's more than like mental where you're maybe doing something harder, like reading a book, or like educational is what I mean, like reading a book, listening to a podcast, things like that. So it's more relaxing and connecting, is how you could think of it. And then emotional, social, and then other. So just things that don't really seem to fit in those other categories. And for all of these, there are some blank spots for you to write in your own ideas. So if you are stuck, like I'm doing the same self-care thing every day and it's not really meaningful to me, then come to this list and look at some other things that you can do. So we were back on January, and I think we were on this week here. Okay, so that's where your self-care activity comes in. And there's a daily checklist. So I have pre-put 4 things on there. On the weekends, it's 3 things that you should get done. Just again, for your productivity. So, did you submit all of your session notes? Do you respond to all communications that you needed to respond to? Did you complete your self-care activity? And did you plan your tasks for tomorrow? Those are things you should be doing every day. And then, of course, write your other daily checklist things that you have to do for that day. And then at the end of the day, what are your top 3 wins? Like, what did you accomplish? It doesn't have to be your top 3 priorities. Maybe one of your clients made really good progress. Maybe you have a boundary in place and you did a great job of sticking to that boundary. Whatever that is, maybe you're having a really rough time and your win is that you got out of bed that day because life is just really, really hard right now. That's okay. That is a win. Anything that you can be proud of that happened that day are wins. So you should think of 3 of those. And then one plan to improve. So, what is something that maybe you would do differently that you can just think, like, I'm going to do that differently tomorrow, or something I'm going to change? So, that is a section you should fill out at the end of the day. And now for all weekdays, Monday through Friday, I also have a little session notes tab because I have session notebooks, which are like physical session notebooks, which are great. But one of the things I really like to do everything all in one planner is the ability to, still keep track of my clients. So maybe, I was really busy with the client and not taking a lot of notes in the moment. So after the session, I could come over here and take some notes. Um, whatever it is. That's my daughter's initials again, not a client. Um, so maybe just some notes, making progress on manding. Maybe you gave the tech feedback on motivating operations, whatever you want to write over here, just so you know what happened in your session, if you need to make some extra notes. And then over here on this section, it's to do or update. So you could write some program updates if you want, or, to-do list, materials, maybe you need PEX cards, however you want to use it. So you can utilize that. There's 5 on here. If you need more, again, you can go to that page sorter and duplicate this so you can have more space. But again, we're doing supervision. You're probably not going to be doing more than 5 a day unless you're doing some really short ones. But that is basically what that looks like. So for the daily planner, you have your daily check-in sheet and then you have your session notes. Again, that's for Monday through Friday. And then when we get to the weekend, I know you could be working, and if you are, you can still duplicate that session note thing, but ideally you're not working on the weekends. So there's no session notes, and that, you know, input your session notes or your billing is not on your daily checklist. And then at the end of the week, something again that's brand new for me, adding to a planner that I think it's really important that we regularly reflect on with this is the burnout check-in. So this is an end of the week thing. At the end of each week, you should be looking at this and filling it in. You want to be asking yourself, how am I feeling physically and emotionally this week? So are you tired? Are you energized? Are you overwhelmed? Are you content? Like, what's going on? How are you feeling this week? What tasks or events felt the most stressful or draining? Again, it can be work related. It could also be personal. Maybe you had some really difficult client sessions. You've got like a lot more paperwork that you had to do, some tight deadlines. Maybe a parent was complaining about something, having issues with buy-in to your treatment program, whatever it is. Like I said, or it could be something personal. And then what moments brought you joy, pride, or a sense of accomplishment? So maybe client progress, really good collaboration. Maybe you had a personal achievement or success, whatever that is, write that in there. And then down here, did you maintain healthy boundaries this week? So you should have some boundaries in place to make sure that you are not getting burnt out. So, like not checking work emails after hours, making sure you're taking breaks, saying no when you need to. So just reflect back. Did you maintain those healthy boundaries this week? Yes or no? And then how well did you balance your work and your personal life this week? 1 would be poor, 5 would be excellent. And it's not going to be perfect all the time. You're going to have weeks where you really have to do more work because you have like 5 assessments that are due. So just be honest with yourself, reflect on that, but that's going to help give you a way to look back and see any patterns that are going on. And then we have what can you do next week to better manage your energy and stress? Are there tasks you can delegate? Do you need to schedule downtime, prioritize self-care activities, whatever that is, to help next week be better? And then your self-care action plan for next week. What are 1 to 2 things that you're going to do next week to help prevent burnout? So reflecting on this weekly is really going to help make sure that you are not spreading yourself too thin, that you are aware of your burnout level before it gets to the point where you're like, I quit, I'm never doing this again. You want to just make sure you are keeping track of that and managing it and thinking of ideas and ways that you can just be more healthy in your work-life balance and make sure you have boundaries established so that it doesn't become too much, which is really easy for us to do. We are in a helping profession. We're obviously doing this because we want to help other people, but we don't want it to come at the expense of our, physical and mental well-being. So that is basically going to repeat. You go back to the next week, which is the weekly planner, the daily notes, and then at the end of the week, again, you are going to get to that burnout checklist. Then finally, we have some really cool tools at the end of each month. These are going to be familiar to you if you have used my other planner. But if not, Hopefully, you will be excited about this because this is, I think, one of the things that makes this planner stand out from just using any planner that you want out there. And that is going to be the client sheets and the tech evals and then the summary sheets. So let me just get to the first one. So the client sheet, you're going to have one for every client that you have for each month. So there's 10 in here, but of course you can always use that page sort and add more of them. So you're going to go up here, write whoever your client is for that month. Let me just make sure I got my pen on. Then you're going to come through here and check first for the monthly summary. So for direct hours, what were the hours planned for that month? So what was actually scheduled? What should have happened? The actual hours that was done, and then the number of missed hours. So this is really going to help you identify when there's a lot of missed hours happening, what hours you have in the bank that you can use for makeup hours, and try and figure out if there's often missed hours, what's going on. Then you're going to track your supervision hours. So, what was planned, what you're authorized for, what you actually did, and then the number of supervision hours you missed. Same for parent hours, what's planned, actual missed. And then you're going to write in here the authorization expiration and the number of targets mastered. So auth expiration, that's going to help you just keep track of when you need to start doing that reevaluation and prepping for that. And then the number of targets mastered, that can really just help you see where your client is and what progress they're making each week, so or each month. And then we have our weekly tracker. So there's a section for techs and then a section for supervisors. So for techs, you're going to write down the text that you have. There's 5 spaces. Hopefully you don't have more than 5 texts on a case because that's a lot. So let's just say we have Mary on there. Did you do her evaluation? Yes or no? No, or you could write her average score. So either yes, you did it, check, or maybe her average score was 85. So, however you want to use that to track that, but she should have at least one evaluation every week. And then we're going to look at what was the weekly hours that this person did. So, maybe you just have 2 texts splitting a case. So, let's see, make that bigger again. All right, and then they got theirs. Let's say maybe it's like a 20-hour case or something. So normally it's 10 and 10, but then 1 week there was less. So then we can go and look and just like see what the total hours were. Make sure that that is being split up and that all the hours are getting completed. So you can utilize that. And again, whether you have one tech or multiple techs, you can use that to see how the hours are going. And then your activity that you should be doing. So your supervision, are you doing the correct percentage of supervision? You can go back and check this to here. So you did 10% here, 10% here, and so forth. And you can go and check your percentage. Parent meeting, are you completing those? Those are ones, not tallies, but number of hours for that. Any assessment that you did, which again, oftentimes might not be a lot, but when you have a reeval coming up, maybe you're doing more. And then any indirect work. Now, indirect work, a lot of insurances don't cover for that. So you may see that as not something that you really need to fill in. However, if you obviously have an insurance that is not paying for indirect work, but you find yourself doing indirect work, whether it's making materials or just doing stuff outside of your supervision sessions, it may actually be useful for you to track that to see the amount of work that you're actually doing. Maybe you are spending hours a week making materials when you should be delegating that to somebody else. Or maybe you are answering a lot of questions outside of sessions, and you can redefine your sessions and parent meetings to make sure that you're getting questions answered in session instead of spending a lot of time out of session. So you can utilize that even if you don't get paid for indirect work to kind of look at that. And maybe you don't calculate it in your total hours, but you can still add that in there. And then we have a data review section. So here we're going to write out, again, there's not spaces for probably all of the targets that they have, but maybe you have a handful of programs that are new or that you're just keeping a closer eye on. So we could write some of those on here, whatever those key ones are. And then you'll go through and, actually keep an eye on what is the trend observation, what did you notice this month, and any recommendations. Maybe you're going to change something, add different stimuli, whatever you're going to do, change the prompt levels. But this is going to give you a way to really zone into those programs that you need to pay a little bit closer attention to and then track that. And then you can have a list here for to-dos, whether that is materials that you need or just programs that you need to change. And this is something you're going to kind of each week when you're in your supervision session making these little notes. Also, if you're doing this, and you're coming in here weekly, you have identified your programs you want to keep a close eye on. Go in here, maybe, they not making progress. And you're doing this on a weekly basis, and the recommendation is, change prompt level. Well, then the next week that you come in here for supervision, you can use this as like an ongoing thing. Those are still there. So we're going to erase this because that was last week, and now they are making progress. And you're going to keep prompt levels. And then maybe the next week, you're going to look at fading those prompts. So you can use this as a sheet that you're actually updating throughout each week that you go. You don't have to just keep it static, and that's the only thing you can write for the month. And then we have programs for parent goals. You should have parent goals, and you should be working on them and tracking their progress. So here, maybe they need to implement the FBA, maybe some strategies from there. Maybe you want them to understand antecedent strategies. Maybe you're looking at education on four functions, functions of behavior. If you use my assessment, parent assessment of behavioral concepts, that has over 160 parent goals in there, all tied to areas that you actually assess with parents. Give you a lot of ideas, but one area that I have in there is parent behavior. I think we should be doing this with all of our parents, where we're looking at do they understand how they are being reinforced by their child's behavior or things they do. So, like when they give in to a tantrum, they're being negatively reinforced. Do they understand parent burnout? Do they have some method to evaluate their own burnout and make changes? So, I think we should always be looking at educating parents on their own behavior too and how that impacts things because if we only focus on the client, we're missing out on so much. So that might be a goal too. So parent burnout. But yeah, it has a ton of goals in there if you're ever struggling with that. And also a way to assess and track their progress and report it to insurance using objective data and a grid so insurance can actually see the progress each time. And then here for progress, you can just write it out. If it's something like plus minus, you can take the data on here. However you want to do this. And again, if you're doing parent training weekly, you can go through, erase it, and then, add the new data for the next week. So that is going to be in there. This client sheet, every time that you go into a session for supervision, open the client sheet That is one of the first things that you should do because you can reflect back on your notes from last week. You can input the hours, see where things are, address any issues before they become major issues like, cancellations or texts like showing up late regularly. You can look at all that. You can see what your to-do list is and you can stay really organized. And then carry this over next month, new client sheet and see where you're at with everything. So this, I think, I haven't really seen anywhere else. It's like impossible to make a regular planner fit this. And this is one of the things that I just found that I really, really needed to be able to keep track of stuff. So that's my recommendation. You go into supervision, you open your client sheet and you see what's going on and you make those updates and changes and checks on those programs that you want to check on. Because this is going to be, I think, one of the best tools in this planner when it comes to our just like straight up BCBA work and staying organized and seeing where we are. So the client summary is all about the client's information, but we also want to make sure that we are taking data on our text too, right? So you're also going to have 10 of these. Again, you can make more if you need to, but this is going to be a tech eval. So here we're going to write um, your text name that you're doing this with. And you can do this multiple times a month with them. You could do it once a month. And then being in this digital format, it's really easy to just like take a screenshot, share it with them. When I do the physical one, I usually like take a picture of the page and I share it with them. But here you're going to it's a quick evaluation. Of course, I have way more in-depth evaluations on my website, but this being in a planner, it's just a quick one. You're going to look at teaching procedures across 5 trials. Did they establish attending? Are they using the correct SD? Are they using naturalistic instructions, correct prompting, error correction, reinforcement, and a proper intertrial interval, whether that needs to be, long or short, whatever's appropriate for the client. And then you can go through and, just write the data in for that. So they're doing good, didn't do it with that one. And then we have 60%. And then at the bottom of it, you'll do an average. And then you have inter-observer agreement. So we have 3 for programs and 2 for behaviors. So just, are they matching what you are getting data on? So maybe you're doing tact and the target is cat. And then you can either do this for like match, no match, or what I often like to do is I like to put my data up here. This is what I'm scoring the client on, and then the text data down here. So are they matching what I did? And maybe they scored that one a plus. So we have, you can even go through and highlight it if you want. That this is match. And that one didn't match. So you can, of course, go and add that visual, which might be helpful for the text to see too, the ones that are match and no match, and then put the score in there. And then same for behavior data. I do it this way because you may be taking duration, so you're looking at like the total time, or maybe you're looking at occurrence, non-occurrence, and you're taking tallies. So maybe you got 7 and the tech got 5. And then you could do that score and get the average. Then we're looking at general instruction. So is it a safe environment, limited distractions? Are they doing maintenance tasks, differentially reinforcing, all of that? And you're just looking at yes, no, or not available, not relevant. Behavior management, are they remaining calm and neutral, following through on instructions? Professionalism, are their session notes objective and detailed? Are they communicating with the supervisor? Avoiding dual relationships, and then pairing and manding. Do they confirm the MO? Are they engaging with the client during breaks? All of that. And again, so you'll see like there's not like a total percentage you're getting out of those. It's just a snapshot. Again, there's more in-depth ones that I use, but this is basically my quick eval that I'm going to do more frequently with texts. And then you're going to write down the strengths and areas to improve. And then you can just take a screenshot of this, send it to them, and now they have their feedback. Like I said, you could do these weekly for every tech, once a month, however you want to utilize them. But it's right there in your planner, so you don't have to use another tool for it. And then at the end of the month, we also have a client summary page and a tech summary page. So this, you're only going to have one for all your clients. You're not going to have one for each client because we're just looking at them all together. So we can go through and write down who your clients are. Again, these are me and my kids, so no client information being shared here. So you'll write down your clients. So how many direct hours did they do this month? How many are remaining? And remaining does not mean it doesn't have to be like what's left on the table for that month. You could be looking at like what's remaining on their authorization if you want to be tracking your authorization. So like they did, maybe you're in supervision and you did 30 hours this month and you have another 20 hours left on your authorization because it's coming due soon. Same for assessment, same for parent training. And then when is their authorization expiring? And then when you have ones that are coming up due soon, you can highlight them, make sure you're keeping track of that. Write down some positives for this month related to your clients, some focus areas for next month, and then any notes that you have. And now for your text, you're going to be writing down, your tech names, whoever you have on here, and you're going to then write who their clients are that are assigned. Maybe you have a situation where it's like one tech, one client. Maybe you're in a clinic and one of your techs works with like five different clients. But that's going to help you just like see where everyone's at, who they're working with. And then just as a whole, what was your tech's hours scheduled? What was their hours worked? And what's their utilization? That's going to help you identify if you have a tech that's constantly not meeting their utilization hours, which could be on them or it could be the parents canceling all the time, but it's going to help you identify those patterns. And then what are their staff evaluation scores? So again, those quick evaluations, it's great if you do them weekly, but maybe you don't do them weekly. You could write them in here, what those are. Maybe you skipped a week and then you went up to 80. Or maybe you just did it for one tech. Or maybe if they score 80% or higher, you're just going to do it once, however you want to utilize that. And that's going to let you see their scores, and you could even go through and color code them if you want to pick up on ones that are above or below whatever your criteria is. And then same thing, positives for this month related to your text, focus areas for next month, and then your notes. And then that's going to take you on to the next month of February. So that is a lot of content in one planner. Also why this is a 3-month planner because it's so much. I don't want the file to be completely massive that it's not usable. So again, every month you are going to have just a main page with quick links, notes, and graphing your habits, a coloring sheet, which, hey, don't worry, you can zoom in really, really close to. Your monthly calendar with your main focus, your notes, and like big picture goals or tasks. Your brain dump where you can put all of the things that you need to work on for that month and upcoming months. And then you have your weekly planner to plan out your schedule, your daily planner to make sure you are completing your tasks, your priorities, and your self care activities and tracking those wins, and then your session notes for each day. Following that, at the end of the week, you're going to have your burnout check in. And then at the end of the month is where you're going to have your client sheets, which we will get to over here. Again, here, I'll show you the easy way to do it. We're in February. Okay, so client sheets, there we go. That's way easier than scrolling. That's why I've added those links to it. So your client sheets right there. Then you are going to have your tech evaluations. Again, 10 of each of those. And then at the very back, you're going to have your client summary, which is for all your clients, and your tech summary, and then again on to the next month. So this is going to really just provide you with all the things that I think that as BCBAs, we really need to be tracking and maintaining for our professional lives, but also for our personal lives and making sure we're not forgetting ourselves as we're tracking all of this. So I really tried to roll this all into one planner for us to be able to track everything in an efficient way right at the tip of your fingers, right on your phone. But again, like I said, don't worry if you like physical planners. This is going to be coming out in a physical version as well. So no worries there. You can also get the physical one. And if you have used my previous planner, that 6-month planner, don't worry. I'm not getting rid of that either. That is still an option. That's a 6-month undated planner. It's just regular notebook sized. But that one doesn't have some of these self-care activities and the burnout check-in and some of those other features that I really like as additions to this new planner. So please take a look, check it out. If you think of anything that should be added that you really wish you had in a planner as a BCBA, please let me know. Because again, it's a 3-month planner. We'll have new ones coming out every 3 months, and we can always make adjustments or additions to it because I want this to help you be more efficient at everything that you're doing. Well, thank you so much for taking a look at this walkthrough, and I hope you enjoy it.